In this keynote, I would like to discuss the historical background, the current situation, and the society that teleexistence will open up in terms of teleexistence, which enables us to obtain a new body of our own and use it to perform physical tasks and to have physical experiences both in the real world and the virtual worlds. Many developed countries are currently facing numerous challenging circumstances, such as an increasing concentration of population in metropolitan areas, a decrease in the number of workers due to the growing elderly population and declining birth rate, possible problems due to excess immigration, dilemmas posed by concurrent child rearing and work, and the fact that a significant amount of time is required for commuting to and from work, resulting in a lack of personal time. Some of these problems can be solved by reducing human mobility by exchanging information via networks. Remote working or telework is one way to realize such an ideal. In fact, during the COVID-19 pandemic, teleconferencing and remote office work became widespread around the world, and the electric cottage that Alvin Toffler proposed in 1980 in his book The Third Wave has been realized after 40 years. However, even if telework is feasible for so-called white-collar jobs, many of the jobs that support society at its core, such as medical care, welfare, water supply, electricity, convenience stores, supermarkets, construction, and civil engineering require employees to be physically present, making remote working difficult. The inability to do such important work remotely has been a major hindrance to society, and this pandemic has made it apparent. This difficulty can be overcome if we can change the concept of human mobility and move bodily functions without involving practical movement. This means moving only human functions rather than physically moving the human being themselves. In other words, this is a problem that can be solved if we can use teleexistence technology to make physical robots work as our alter egos. By doing so, the speed of movement is revolutionarily accelerated from the speed of material movement to the speed of information movement. In addition, the functions of the new body can be used to augment and extend human capabilities. This may be said to be a solution through a full-body prosthetic technology based on teleexistence. Workers can participate in labor from anywhere, eliminating the need for commuting, and can access to labor from all over the world without having to travel, which leads to contribute to a low-energy society by eliminating unnecessary travel. The physically challenged and the elderly can participate in labor from comfortable environments. This will increase opportunities for those who want to work, and at the same time help to alleviate labor shortages. In addition to its potential for physical remote environment, teleexistence has another aspect. It is the possibility of extending human abilities to become superhuman. It has long been a desire of human beings to overcome the limitations of time and space, to be able to go anywhere in the world at any time, and to augment their motor, sensory, and intellectual abilities to become superhumans. This desire can be fulfilled by using a physical avatar as one's alter ego and acting on it using teleexistence technology. Teleexistence is the ultimate cyborg technology that can expand one's capabilities without losing one's own body, or even transcending time and space. Then, what exactly is the concept and technology of teleexistence that makes these possible? Teleexistence is a concept that denotes an extension of human existence, wherein a person exists wholly in a location other than his or her actual current location and can perform tasks freely there. The term also refers to the system of science and technology that enable the realization of the concept. The concept of teleexistence is virtual teleportation to remote real environments or computer-synthesized worlds, that is, the ability to freely come and go between VR environments and remote real environments equally. It is a concept that expresses the expansion of human existence, in which people can exist in a place other than where they are currently located, work freely there, and act freely. The location that differs from the location where you physically exist can be a real space or computer-generated virtual space, and the latter case, that is teleexistence in a virtual space, is usually called virtual reality. Furthermore, by matching the real space with the virtual space, it is possible to teleexist in the real space through the virtual space, or to act by adding information from the virtual space to the real space. Of course, in teleexistence, both the VR world and the remote real world are shared not only by you, but also by many people. Teleexistence is a system that has the three elements of virtual reality. The three elements of virtual reality and teleexistence are: 1. The environment constitutes a natural three-dimensional space for human beings. 2. Human beings can act freely in the environment while interacting with it in real time. And 3. The environment and the human being using it are seamless, providing the user with a realistic projection of himself or herself as a virtual human or a surrogate robot. The above environment can be a computer-generated virtual environment or a real remote environment. These are called three-dimensional spatiality, real-time interactivity, and self-projection, respectively. And the ideal virtual reality system or teleexistence system is one that combines all three of these elements. I would like to start with teleexistence in the real world, including some historical background. Teleoperation emerged in Argonne National Laboratory soon after World War II to manipulate radioactive materials. In order to work directly in the environment rather than work remotely, an exoskeleton human amplifier was invented in the 1960s. The concept of supervisory control was proposed in the 1970s to add autonomy to the human operations. In the 1980s, the exoskeleton human amplifier evolved into teleexistence, that is, into the virtual exoskeleton human amplifier through Aufheben or subrelation of contradictory concepts of exoskeleton human amplifier and supervisory control. The realization of teleexistence is done by virtually creating a state in which a person enters a robot or wears a robot like a suit. The left figure in this slide shows a system called a powered suit or an exoskeleton human amplifier, in which a human wears a robot-like suit to expand his abilities and enable work in dangerous environments without losing human abilities, such as judgment from a broad viewpoint or dexterous eye-hand coordination. However, there are several drawbacks to this system. The first is that it is extremely difficult to operate a system automatically, as the robot's own movements will cause the human body to move as well, making it incompatible with AI-based automation. The second disadvantage is that the user suffers damage when the robot breaks down, and the third is that the robot cannot be used without going there. Teleexistence acts as a virtual exoskeleton human amplifier and eliminates those shortcomings. The user is in the center of the right figure in this slide. He is connected to several autonomous intelligent robots. One of the robots, the left robot, is used for teleexistence. Even though the user is remote, he puts on the robot as if it were a suit and realizes the state of being inside it. In this way, the advantages of exoskeleton human amplifier are retained, but its disadvantages are compensated for. In other words, people can get a new robotic body and use its functions to extend their own body functions. He can then let the remaining autonomous intelligent robots, the one on the right, but there can be more than one, work autonomously without being moved himself. Conversely, the robot on the left can be put into autonomous mode and he teleexists to the robot on the right. Thus, it is possible to use multiple robots by sequentially teleexisting them. Furthermore, even if the robot breaks down, the user is not harmed, and of course, there is no need to go to the site directly. I came up with the idea of teleexistence in September 1980. Since then, I have been working on the realization of teleexistence with my laboratory members more than 40 years. This slide shows how we developed teleexistence technology. In 1980, I came up with the idea of teleexistence and wanted to test it in practice immediately, so I built a device with a budget. At first, it was a vision-only device. I completed a 3D presentation device designed to be equivalent to the retinal image of a human being looking directly at it. And it was around the end of 1981 that I first experimented with the device and experienced teleexistence. I can never forget the wonderment of undergoing an out-of-the-body experience for the first time when I constructed a teleexistence machine and saw myself through it in 1981. I remember that I was looking at my own back, who was observing someone, and I asked myself if I was actually looking at my own self, then who was I, who was looking at my own self? In my teleexistence paper, which appeared on Theory and Practice of Robots and Manipulators, I wrote as follows. The final version of teleexistence system will consist of intelligent mobile robots, their supervisory subsystem, a remote presence subsystem, and a sensory augmentation subsystem, which allows an operator to use robots' ultrasonic, infrared, and otherwise invisible sensory information with the computer graphic-generated pseudo-realistic sensation of presence. In the remote presence subsystem, realistic visual, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic, and vibratory displays must be realized. It was right around the time the first visual teleexistence prototype was completed that the MITI, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, was investigating a new national large-scale project concerning robots. 20 years after the dawn of robotics in 1960, when Joseph Engelberger made the first industrial robot, Unimate, 1980 was being called the first year of the robot, and Japan was known as the robot kingdom. However, the robots that were in use in 1980 were the so-called first-generation playback robots, and second-generation robots were just starting to appear in factories. Mr. Uehara, who was the deputy director of MITI at that time, knew that I had invented teleexistence and asked me to talk to him. I explained various ideas, and he told me to put them together and bring them to MITI at once. So I gave up my holiday and wrote the proposal shown on this slide. Based on this proposal, the National Large-Scale Project on Advanced Robot Technology in Hazardous Environments was launched in 1983. For 80 years, from 1983 to 1991, research and development was conducted based on the concept of a third-generation robot for work under high radiation at nuclear power plants, under high pressure on the seafloor and underwater, and under high temperature at fire sites. The robot consists of a robot body that performs work in hazardous environments and a control system that is coupled with the robot by means of communication. Research and development has been conducted on the autonomous control of robot to enhance its function and work capabilities, and on a teleexistence system to facilitate operator operation. In addition to the nuclear-capable prototypes shown in the figure, prototypes for marine and disaster prevention applications were also developed, which formed the basis for subsequent and advanced robotic research in Japan. In 1984, we developed an impedance-controlled visual display. This device compensates for the inertia of the display by using internal feedback when controlling the direction of the display by the operator's neck force, thereby reducing the burden of the operator. By considering the spring element, about 50% of the display inertia could be compensated. Furthermore, we have shown in psychophysical experiments using the holopter that it is objectively equivalent to direct observation, not just its subjective evaluation. In 1985, we developed a mobile teleexistence system that could be controlled remotely as if you were getting into a mobile robot. Instead of controlling a remote-controlled car from the outside, you could move around and avoid obstacles as if you were in the car and the driver of the car. From 1986 to 1989, we conducted research and development of a teleexistence surrogate robot system dubbed TELISA, Teleexistence Surrogate Anthropomorphic Robot, a humanoid robot that can be controlled as if it were a user's own alter ego, giving the user a realistic feeling of being inside the robot. It has been verified that TELISA can perform tasks such as stacking blocks or hitting a ping pong ball as if the operator were directly performing them himself. From 1989 to 1995, we conducted research and development of teleexistence in a virtual environment and teleexistence in the real environment augmented by computer-generated information. In 1989, we succeeded in an experiment to stop emissions by closing an emergency cop in a smoke-filled environment by superimposing a VR space created from planned drawings onto a real space. In 2000, teleexistence was implemented on a humanoid biped robot in the Humanoid Robot Project, HRP.
The robot can also climb and descend stairs. While the robot is walking, the field of view from the robot is presented to the operator by a surrounding audio-visual display consisting of 9 screens. The acceleration and posture of the robot while walking are also fed back to the operator by a moving chair. The operator can control the position and orientation of the robot hand by the master arm, and then the force to the robot hand is fed back to the hand of the master arm. While the operator controls the robot hand by the master arm, the motion of the operator's head is tracked, and the robot head follows the operator's motion. The master arm is an exoskeleton type with 7 joints. The redundant degree of freedom can be controlled by the motions of the operator's elbow.
In 2005, a mutual teleexistence master-slave system called TELISA-2 was constructed for the Aichi World Exposition. TELISA-2 is composed of 3 subsystems: a slave robot, a master cockpit, and a viewer system, as shown in the left figure of the slide. The most distinctive feature of TELISA-2 is the use of retroreflective projection technology, RPT, shown in the upper right of the slide. TELISA-2 acts as a screen, and the person seeing through the RPT viewer system observes the robot as though it were the operator, because the projection of the real image of the operator on the robot. The face and chest of TELISA-2 are covered with retroreflective material. A ray incident from a particular direction is reflected in the same direction from the surface of the retroreflective material. Since many RPD projectors are used in different directions and different images are projected corresponding to the cameras located around the operator, the corresponding images of the operator can be viewed. This video shows the telexistence surrogate robot TELISA-2 as a virtual exoskeleton human amplifier of a remote operator by showing his image as he is inside the robot, and the operator who is telexisting in the TELISA-2 robot feeling as if he were inside the robot. No verbal communication such as gestures and handshakes could be performed in addition to conventional verbal communication because the master-slave manipulation robot was used as a surrogate for a human. Moreover, a person who remotely visited the surrogate robot's location could be seen naturally and simultaneously by several people standing around the surrogate robot so that mutual telexistence is attained. Telexistence in virtual worlds or metaverses is also possible. In 2011, we realized face-to-face communication in a virtual space, metaverse, using a 360-degree autostereoscopic display called Twister. First, each booth displays a 360-degree 3D virtual environment. Next, two stereo cameras installed in each booth capture images of users in the booth from angles calculated based on the relative position and orientation of each user in the virtual environment. The captured images are transmitted to other twisters via communication link. Within each booth, the images of other users are placed in the virtual environment according to their relative position and orientation. In this way, users can meet, move around, and converse as if they were sharing the same space and time, even if they are in remote locations. A demonstration of teleexistence into the metaverse was conducted on March 9, 2011. Users at Keio University and the University of Tokyo gathered in a space station-like urban metaverse and demonstrated that they could have eye-to-eye conversations, move freely, and make gestures such as toss while watching each other's facial expressions in real time. This was 2 days before the Great East Japan earthquake. Using the same twister communication system that existed in the VR world, we have shown that teleexistence is possible not only in the VR world, but also in the remote real world. On February 28, 2011, teleexistence communication between the University of Tokyo and Keio University was successfully demonstrated. Teleexistence in the real world requires a physical avatar, such as a surrogate robot. TELISA-4, an all-surrounding stereoscopic camera mounted on a surrogate robot, acquires and transmits a 360-degree stereo scene of the local area and presents it to Twister, allowing remote participants to communicate with local participants while enjoying a realistic view of the scene as if they were there. A moving camera that moves around the twister in accordance with the relative position of the surrogate robot TELISA-4 captures and transmits the remote participant's facial expression in real time and projects them onto TELISA-4 using retroreflective projection technology, RPT, allowing the local participant to feel the presence of the remote participant and communicate with him or her. The local participant can communicate with the remote participant while feeling the presence of the remote participant. Although the ideal teleexistence should provide haptic sensations, conventional telepresence systems provide mostly visual and auditory sensations with only incomplete haptic sensations. We called haptic teleexistence a technology for transmitting haptic information to a remote user as if he or she were working directly with the device. We demonstrated the results at SIGGRAPH in the summer of 2007. It was shown that a user can dexterously perform various tasks by presenting haptic sensor information from a remote robot controlled by the user to both the user's proprioceptive and cutaneous senses. TERESA-5, a master-slave robot system for performing full-body movements, was developed in 2011. In August 2012, it was successfully demonstrated at SIGGRAPH that the TERESA-5 master-slave system can transmit fine haptic sensations, such as the texture and temperature of a material, from an avatar robot's fingers to the human user's fingers, based on a proposed principle of haptic primary colors. We have shown that the user can perform various tasks as if he or she were inside the robot and working directly with it, while judging the phases by himself or herself. Haptic primary color principle is based on the knowledge of physiology and is a technological concept that endeavors to deconstruct, transmit, and display haptic information. Just as the three colors, red, green, blue, for sight, are based on the wavelength characteristics of cone cells in the eye, haptic primary colors are defined as three stimuli of force, vibration, and temperature. This breakdown into force, vibration, and temperature in physical space is based on the human restriction of sensation in physiological space. Much like the human retina, human skin has limited receptors. In physiological space, cutaneous perception is created through a combination of nerve signals from several types of haptic receptors located below the surface of the skin. If we consider each activated haptic receptor as a sensory base, we should be able to express any given pattern of cutaneous sensation through synthesis by using these bases. Merkel cells, Ruffini endings, Meissner's corpuscles, and Pachinian corpuscles are activated mainly by pressure, tangible force, low-frequency vibration, and high-frequency vibration, respectively. On adding cold receptors, free nerve endings, warmth receptors, free nerve endings, and pain receptors, free nerve endings, to these four vibrotactile haptic sensory bases, we have 7 sensory bases in the physiological space. Because all 7 receptors are related only to force, vibration, and temperature applied on the skin surface, these 3 components in the physical space are enough to stimulate each of the 7 receptors. Thus, in physical space, we have 3 haptic primary colors: force, vibration, and temperature. Theoretically, by combining these 3 components, we can produce any type of cutaneous sensation without the need for any real touching of an object. With Axel Embodied Media Project, TERESA-6 was developed based on TERESA-5 system. TERESA-6 realized full embodiment with 67 degrees of freedom by adding legs and improving hand motor functions, and expanded haptic information transmission by integrating haptic primary color modules. A 3-axis force sensor, an acceleration sensor, and temperature sensors are embedded in all 10 fingertips of the avatar robot TERESA-6, and by processing the acceleration sensor information, vibration information is obtained and sensed as haptic primary colors. Each human finger is displayed with a dihaptic module that presents vibration and temperature, and a force display device. The force display device consists of a finger pad, a thread, a threader, and a small motor. The finger pad is pulled by the force of the motor, and the force sensation is first generated by the skin sensation caused by the deformation of the skin on the belly of the finger. When the finger pad is pulled with a larger force, the force is applied to the finger joint, and force sensation is generated by the proprioception receptors, such as the joint capsule. Since its conception in 1980, we have initiated many projects, accumulated technologies, and demonstrated the feasibility and effectiveness of teleexistence. And now, after 40 years, the times are rapidly catching up with us. In October 2016, the X Prize Foundation held its annual Visionaries Summit. The foundation held it to choose the next X Prize theme from among 9 candidates. Over a 2-day period, 9 teams presented their theme proposals, and the proposals were screened by a panel of around 300 mentors, who included academics, CEOs, and venture capitalists. Team Avatar, one of the X Prize teams, asked me to come to the 2016 summit to demonstrate our TEDISA 5, which they recognized to be the world's most advanced robot avatar. I agreed and presented the technology over the 2 days with the help of the members of Tachi Laboratory. The panel was impressed with the demonstration, and they picked Team Avatars as a proposal for the next X Prize theme. The ANA Avatar X Prize was then launched in March 2018, with the finals scheduled for 2022.
Sponsors increasing audience share.
The future might be closer than you think. You're looking at an avatar, a robot controlled by a human. Now, a team of engineers right now in the South Bay is competing to make an avatar Olympics the stage for the next X Prize competition.
Okay, that would be interesting.
Right up your alley, isn't it?
I would enjoy seeing that. McCullough Medina shows us now how the avatars work and why the team thinks they're going to change the world. We'll see.
Oh, yes, sir.
This is Telesar V, an avatar controlled by a human. Using a virtual reality headset, the human also uses what's called haptics technology, which is essentially clothing that allows you to feel what the avatar feels. The avatar does what you do, you see what it sees, and you hear what it hears.
The finals testing event took place from November 4th to 5th, 2022 in Long Beach, California. Nimbro of University of Bonn, Germany, was the grand prize winner in the competition. In response to this movement, startup companies such as Telexistence Inc. have been born, aiming at the industrialization of Telexistence avatar. In addition, KDDI, Nippon Steel and Sumitomo Metal Solutions, NTT Docomo, and Toyota announced prototypes for teleexistence-oriented products with a sense of presence and workability. As can be seen in this series of events, the times are steadily moving toward the creation of a new industry field of virtual teleportation industry, or teleexistence avatar industry. In this context, social implementation is steadily beginning in industries such as convenience stores, which can be said to be the social infrastructure that supports society. A good example of this is the implementation of product display operations using teleexistence at the Lawson Tokyo Post City Takeshiba store, which opened on September 14, 2020. It is worthy of special mention that the robot was actually introduced and operated in the actual store. Influenced by the Avatar X Prize, Japan's science and technology policies are beginning to take Avatar into account. The first of the 6 goals of the Moonshot R&D program, which was launched in fiscal year 2020 under the auspices of the Cabinet Office's 115 billion yen fund, is to realize a society in which people are free from the constraints of body, brain, space, and time. We will challenge to realize a cybernetic avatar society and a cybernetic avatar life. In other words, the goal is to realize a teleexistence society. How will teleexistence advance our lives and society? First of all, I would like to look at the aspects of humans becoming what is called superhuman by augmenting and extending their abilities and becoming free from the constraints of space and time. In a teleexistence society, avatar robots are deployed all over the world, and a system will be constructed in which users can freely assign and use these robots. Avatar robots are placed everywhere, in offices, stores, factories, hospitals, schools, libraries, museums, parks, stadiums, amusement parks, all over the world. And people can use these avatar robots as their own alter egos from their homes, offices, or public teleexistence sites. This allows, for example, children and elderly people who have been hospitalized for a long time and cannot leave the house to play with other children or return to their own families' homes. In principle, these robots are intelligent robots. Therefore, when they are not in use, they can autonomously perform their assigned tasks. Equipped with safety intelligence, they can avoid dangers that the user has overlooked. Furthermore, even if the user logs out of the robot in the middle of the day, it can autonomously return to its original location. One could meet face-to-face with family, relatives, and friends at remote places, such as a cocktail party venue. One could enjoy real shopping at a remote shop as if he or she were physically present at the shop. Application in leisure, amusement, and game industries in the form of teleexistence. One could travel to seldom visited places with a sense of existence at those places. One could meet with family, relatives, and friends at remote places at any time. For example, a grandmother visits her grandson and vice versa. One could immediately return from remote places to one's office or home with a real-time sensation of existence. A disabled grandmother attended her grandson's wedding party as if she were there. The next application of teleexistence is to replace work in environments that are dangerous for humans to enter or that are difficult, if not dangerous, for humans. People will be able to send robots to disaster sites immediately without fear of secondary disasters and respond to disasters as quickly as possible. The robot can also be used for the manufacture of special medicines. Conversely, the same applies to work in clean environments where human intervention would disrupt the environment. Humans can work with the assistance of AI. Of course, the autonomous functions of robots can also be utilized, allowing robots to perform tasks that can be done automatically and people to perform tasks that can only be done by people, allowing a single person to use many robots. Planning, scheduling, and task-sharing operations for intelligent mobile robots are handled by a supervisory controller. The robot sensor information such as radiation, ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, microwaves, ultrasonic waves, and ultra-low frequencies, called extrasensory information, can also be used by the operator. For example, infrared sensor information is converted to visual light at night to see an object in the dark, or ultrasonic information can be converted to audio frequency to obtain sound information, which is not available in normal conditions. In addition, superimposing extrasensory information on an ordinary visual display, or using skin sensory channels that are not normally used, enables the operator to make effective use of such information to expand human capabilities. In addition, if the maneuverability of the robot's arm is enhanced and it can be controlled as if it were its own arm, a human-powered amplifier will be realized in the sense that it can hold objects that it cannot normally hold. From that point of view, human augmentation system can be realized. The next social implementation of teleexistence is remote work using teleexistence. Teleexistence makes it possible to remotely perform work that require the use of the human body. If this is realized, a teleexistence society will open up as shown in this slide. No matter where a factory is located, workers would be assembled from the entire country or the entire world, so the conditions for locating factories will see revolutionary changes compared to the past, and population concentration into the metropolitan area can be avoided. Owing to additional functions of an avatar robot, which is the body of the virtual self, even the elderly and handicapped will not be at a disadvantage physically compared to young people, since they can augment and enhance their physical functions to surpass their original bodies, and thus they can participate in work that gives full play to the abundant experience amassed over a lifetime. Foreign workers can also work remotely, thus eliminating the immigration problem. Furthermore, by utilizing the time difference, a 24-hour workforce can be secured from multiple overseas locations, eliminating the need for night shifts. Both men and women can participate in the workforce while raising children, making it easier to raise children. It is also noteworthy that as the telexistence work progresses, more and more data will be collected on how people work with their own bodies. This data will allow us to see where people are looking and what kind of force they are applying to their hands as they work, which was not possible with mere video data. Currently, there is no big data that can be used as training data to teach the flexible and skillful work of humans to intelligent robots, and deep learning has not been achieved. However, with telexistence, as workers from all over the world perform such tasks, the necessary data will be collected, and it will be possible to replace them with intelligent robots. By distributing avatar robots around the world, users can freely use their avatar robot bodies as their substitute to release their time and space restrictions and enable their unknown experiences. As a result, a telexistent society is realized in which people's capabilities can be used freely. It will be possible to respond instantly from a safe place during disasters and emergencies, and this technology can also be used routinely to dispatch medical services, caregivers, physicians, and experts to remote areas. Owing to the creation of virtual human teleportation industry, it will greatly improve convenience and motivation in the lives of citizens, and it is anticipated that a healthy and pleasant lifestyle will be realized in a clean and energy-conserving society. Furthermore, based on my 30-year cycle prediction, it is expected that a major step-up will occur again in the 2050s, and society will change drastically, and a full-fledged telexistent society will be realized at that time. With telexistence giving people new augmented bodies and instantaneously teleporting them virtually, it will empower humans to live more like human beings, greatly contributing to humankind in the years to come. Thank you for your attention.